This module is on yoga philosophy. What is yoga? Why do we practice? And what's the history of yoga? This is a rather in-depth topic, but we will touch upon the 5 points of yoga, the 4 paths of yoga, including Hatha and Kundalini yoga, the Yoga Sutras, which includes the ethics, yamas and niyamas, yoga asana, the postures, pranayama, breathing technique, pratyahara, withdrawing the senses, dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, superconscious state. We'll also talk about how chair yoga relates to the Yoga Sutras and the philosophy of yoga, and why truly yoga is for everyone. I'll talk most about the base of yoga, the very first yama of the 8 limbs, which is ahimsa, or nonviolence. We'll practice chair yoga videos with some reflection of different yoga and ahimsa videos. In this yoga philosophy, let's start with what is yoga. As the Yoga Sutra says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the ability to slow or stop the mind stuff. There's different translations on this, but it's basically saying that yoga is about stilling the mind. Since yoga ultimately is about discovering your true self and calming the mind, it's not based on how much yoga postures or practice you can do or your physical ability. This is why we'll learn that truly yoga is for everyone. In this module, we'll also talk about the 5 points of yoga as defined by the Shivananda tradition, which is proper exercise, proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, positive thinking, and meditation. So with healthy eating, and here's a picture of our brain on lots of vegetables, we'll get creative and come up with wonderful ways to adapt yoga so that really everyone can practice. Yoga philosophy. What is yoga? The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit language, meaning to yoke or to join. This joining is talking about the connection with our individual soul and the universal soul, connecting our own inner self individually with the cosmic consciousness of all that exists. That might seem a bit esoteric and hard to grapple, but let's talk a little bit more to help us understand this. Yoga is the connection of our individual self to all that exists in the universe, including every human being, animal, tree, and atom. On a simple level, yoga connects the body, mind, and spirit, often using the breath as a tool to connect those parts. That's what you'll hear a lot from modern day yoga. But it's truly more than connecting the body, the mind, and the breath, but it's talking about our individual essence, our individual soul, with literally all that exists in the universe. Yoga means to connect, to unite. It's to find the oneness of ourself with all things and our connection to the source. Often the breath is a tool, and so are postures, but truly, yoga is a path to bring us more harmony, connection, and balance. This balance yoga brings unites our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of ourselves. Swami Shivananda, in the book he wrote, Bliss Divine, he was a yogi and a MD. He says that yoga is taking care of the body, mind, and spirit, not seeking after fitness or beauty or health. He says that yoga is finding the cause of our suffering. It shows the way to be free from it. Swami Shivananda also says that yoga is a system of education for the body, the mind, the intellect, and the inner spirit. As you can see, this definition of yoga from the masters is quite extensive. He also says yoga is a way of life. Yoga is more than the postures, as many people think. Swami Shivananda says yoga is universal. It's not sectarian or separate. That means you don't need to be a part of any religion or want to be to practice yoga. He also says yoga helps us to go to the root of our suffering, spiritual ignorance, which is not knowing who you really are. Yoga is so much more than the postures and the physical body, which is why I also have a module with relaxation and meditation techniques, as well as stress reduction techniques, so you can truly experience the broader aspects of yoga. Swami Shivananda says yoga brings individual peace of mind and collective peace. Yoga is unity in diversity. Yoga is self-discipline. Yoga is life. Yoga is simple life. Yoga is moderate life. Yoga helps us to deal with stress. Yoga helps calm emotions. Yoga is a balanced mind, strong and steady. There's 4 main paths to yoga. There might be more in other traditions, but a general theory is that the 4 main paths to yoga include 1, karma yoga. That's selfless service or volunteer work. Whether you're paid or not, it's offering your gifts to the universe to help humanity. Another path is bhakti yoga. This is the yoga of devotion. Some yogis will chant and sing, called kirtan, call and response the names of the divine. Raja Yoga is another path. Sometimes known as the kingly yoga, it's about learning to control the mind and the emotions to discover the true self. Hatha Yoga, which are most of what we'll be learning in this training, including yoga postures, relaxation, breathing, and meditation, is a part of Raja Yoga. Another branch is Jnana Yoga, the study of sacred text or spiritual wisdom. Chair yoga can be any one of these paths. You can chant, you can volunteer, you can do your postures, and you can study wisdom and philosophy, all within the chair yoga adaptations. We'll talk more later about chair yoga. There are also many lineages and styles of yoga, depending on the guru, the teacher, where it came from. For example, there's Shivananda Yoga, Integral Yoga, Iyengar Yoga from the Krishnamacharya lineage, Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan, who brought yoga from Kundalini tradition to the West, Ashtanga Yoga as taught by Pattabhi Jois. From that, people have created yoga flow, vinyasa, power yoga, and other styles. Chair yoga can be any one of these. Any lineage of yoga or any path of yoga can simply be adapted using a chair for support for the techniques that require a student to be on the ground. When that's not comfortable, the chair is a substitute, but it really doesn't affect the lineage or style of yoga. So this chair yoga teacher training can be modified for the techniques you have learned or practiced from your own teacher training if you have done a yoga training, or from your own style or lineage or class where you practice yoga. You can adapt postures or techniques to the chair and share it with others based on your experience and the lineage you know. Since I'm based in the Shivananda Kundalini traditions, as well as studying with many masters from other backgrounds, I will base it on my knowledge and what has worked over the 23 plus years teaching and sharing yoga. But you can adapt it to what works for you. Experience is really the best teacher. Your experience in practicing and receiving benefits is where you will share from. But this philosophy module is giving you some background so you know where even your class that you're taking yoga comes from in the context of what is yoga. The Yoga Sutras is a main text that comprises of 8 limbs. From Ashtanga is the word in Sanskrit, but not the Ashtanga yoga style you may hear of when you take class. These 8 limbs include yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Those are the ethics: asana, posture; pranayama, breath work; pratyahara, withdrawing senses; dharana, concentration; dhyana, meditation; and samadhi, superconscious state. The 8 limbs, or Ashtanga in Sanskrit, are known as 8 limbs from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The first of the limbs is yama, the ethics, such as the don'ts. That includes ahimsa, do not harm, which includes the animals. I'll show you at the end of this a short video about ahimsa and a practice video. Satyam, truthfulness. Truthfulness is important even when we're practicing postures or teaching. Are we being truthful that the posture is really comfortable and helpful? Sometimes our subconscious and consciousness is not always in alignment, which is why we do the yogic techniques, to be in more truth and live in our inner truth. Another of the yamas is brahmacharya, or moderation, controlling the senses. Celibacy is where some of the monks take this yama. But in the modern age, for the householder, it could be controlling senses or moderation. Other yamas are asteya, non-stealing. The 8 limbs from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras have another limb, the second one, called niyama, or the dues, such as purity, sausha, internal and external cleanliness, santosha, contentment, tapas, austerity, which could be your yoga practice, svadhyaya, study of the self, and the last one, surrender to the divine. This means our yoga practice can be all the time, not just in class or when we do poses. The one people are most familiar with, number 3, the asana, the postures, and then number 4, pranayama, regulation or control of breath. Pratyahara is withdrawing the senses to still the mind. Dharana is concentration, and dhyana is meditation or absorption in the object of concentration. And samadhi is the superconscious state when oneness is experienced. Think of the 8 limbs like a ladder. You can go up and down. It's not that you have to master one limb and move on to the next. In a chair yoga class or in any yoga class, you may be practicing a few of the limbs at the same time, such as concentration during the yoga posture, while you're regulating the breath, even if it's not a specific pranayama technique. Although in Kundalini Yoga, they do combine pranayama techniques with yoga asana and even a hand mudra. So as you see, these limbs can be practiced not just in philosophy, but in a class as well, several limbs at the same time. And to point out again, Hatha Yoga is basically the branches of asana, yoga posture, and pranayama, regulation of breath. These two together from the Raja Yoga path are known as Hatha Yoga. In Sanskrit, that means sun and moon yoga, often symbolizing balance. Unless you're teaching Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan or some other lineage, you're most likely teaching chair yoga as a modification of Hatha Yoga postures and techniques. So now I'm going to talk about the yogic diet, which is part of ahimsa, nonviolence. I mentioned yogic diet in class because compassion and nonviolence is as much a part of yoga as the postures and practices. For example, eating more vegetables and less animals not only improves the health of the student, but it's proven to prevent risk of many diseases. It saves lives of animals and reduces suffering. It's also one of the most impactful things we can do to help the earth and sustainability. We're copying the animals in many yoga postures. The poses are named after them. So it's good to connect the ideas of compassion and ahimsa, nonviolence. But it really does align with yoga philosophy to include all beings, which includes the animals. That means we wouldn't kill or eat or harm them, according to yogic lifestyle. I feel so blessed I was born vegetarian, so I've never even tried fish, chicken, or meat in my life. I've never viewed animals as food. As some of the animal rights organizations say, animals are friends, not food. And that's truly how I and the yogis view it. I'm very grateful the yogis taught my father before I was born about nonviolence, ahimsa, not only for the animals, but it improves our health as well. If you don't want to discuss the yogic diet and ahimsa in class, perhaps you can relate it to the postures. Make sure the students are comfortable and not harming themselves in the poses. But true ahimsa does go beyond our own lives and bodies, but it continues on to a circle of connection and compassion for all beings. I have more videos at the end where you can ponder these philosophy ideas. Whether you're eating animals or not, you can practice the video. It's not a chair yoga video, but you can adapt the poses in chairs. We'll learn in the later modules how to do that. Or you can just listen to some of the reflection questions on when we do postures representing animals and learning from them. How can we ponder how the humans have affected the animals and harmed them? It's quite drastic to the length we've gone to hurt and actually kill many species of animals on Earth. So I do want to discuss it in this philosophy topic because it is a part of yoga to protect and help other beings, not just our own bodies with practice. If you teach a lot of seniors in chair yoga, the way I do, It's never too late to get healthier in how you eat and to choose a compassionate diet. This woman here turned vegan, the article says, at 95 in the title, but in the article itself, and I just read this today as I was making this video, September 23rd, 2018, she's actually 97. She celebrated and went vegan at her 97th year. She says she feels wonderful. Anne Evers Fraser turned to the plant-based way of life shortly before she turned 96, and she says she'll never go back to eating animal produce. She keeps active by walking on a treadmill, practicing yoga with her granddaughter, and even as a personal trainer. She said, I feel wonderful. I have more energy. I feel lighter and less inflamed. My skin is more clear and I'm moving around better. I definitely think it's helping me healthier as I age. She was 97 years old, and she credits the switch in eating vegetarian, vegan, actually. Vegan, no dairy is the difference. Vegan is no dairy, vegetarian is dairy. She credits going vegan, not vegetarian, to getting rid of her irregular heartbeat, which left shortly, she said, after she turned to veganism. Here's a photo she or her granddaughter posted on social media and in the article of them doing chair yoga. I often see fun photos of them practicing together using a chair as a prop. Not bad for 97. This is why I want to show this, since this training will offer a lot of you to teach not just chair yoga at companies or health clubs, but perhaps like I do to assisted living homes, senior centers, and at yoga studios, which means a lot of seniors may come to your classes because they can get into a practice without having to get on the ground. This article is just one of many I read about her and how her health has been transformed just by going vegan at age 96 and practicing yoga. In the article, it says, since going vegan, she has more energy and wants to do things and make plans for the future. She's truly thriving on a vegan diet, and it's so inspiring to see, said the 28-year-old who runs a restaurant and is also vegan. After noting the health benefits, Ms. Fraser said environmental and ethical reasoning she researched behind the diet encouraged her to maintain it. Initially, she turned vegan after watching the documentary called What the Health in July of 2017, and she has since viewed other films promoting the lifestyle. That was in an article from The Standard. You can watch these movies as well and get inspired by different people who have turned into a healthier diet or yoga postures at all ages. It's never too late to get healthy and enjoy the benefits of yogic diet and yoga exercise. I bring this up so that you too can be inspired, not only to perhaps shift to more vegetarian or vegan eating if that resonates with your lifestyle, but to share it with others. Maybe just tips such as suggesting people eat more greens. Positive switches to healthier eating is often a great step in the right direction towards a general yogic diet. I'm not suggesting everyone needs to choose a vegan or vegetarian or yogic diet as yoga philosophy suggests. But since this is a yoga training and I was born this way and shifted to vegan but grew up vegetarian, I do want to share. And why? Because as you see in these images, it is truly a cruel practice the way most people kill and eat animals. There's no way around it to discover the truth. 99% of animals eaten in the U.S. are raised in factory farms. They are not running out in free atmospheres in green pastures like the media and animal and dairy industries make it. They do that so people will buy their products. I've learned so much over the years, not just growing up vegetarian, but more so in the last 5 or 6 years when I started shifting to become vegan, when I started learning the true violence that's in both dairy and meat industries. If the animals that people eat aren't running around in green pastures and free, as they show in a lot of the advertisements, then where are the animals? In the animal rights organizations, they've let us know that these are called CAFOs, which means concentrated animal feeding operations. It is an imprisonment where they enslave baby animals and animals to produce food or dairy products for human profit. All living beings want to live. just like we do. They feel and fear pain, just like we do. The mother cows cry and are in great distress when the babies are taken away, and they're constantly impregnated to produce milk. Yogic diet traditionally was vegetarian, but most who really want to live a non-violent ahimsa lifestyle in the yogic world these days are shifting to vegan if they have not already. They are both connected. I can get more into this topic if you're interested by sending you articles I've written and published about the ethics of eating animals and yoga, and why yogis are vegetarian, now vegan mostly, as well as yoga teachers and the ethics of eating animals versus not. I'm happy to share more. As the quote says here, that was said to be stated from the Buddha, was that all beings tremble before violence, all love life, all fear death. See yourself in others, then who can you hurt? That is truly the general of what is yoga. See yourself in others. I'm very much aware that this topic can cause quite a bit of defensiveness or uncomfortable feelings that arise for those that are eating meat, but I do feel the need to share this because it is very much a part of yoga philosophy. Yoga masters such as Dharma Mitra, who's now 78 in New York City, teaching for almost 50 years, as well as Sharon Gannon of Jiva Mukti Yoga, say this about going vegan to have a harmonious interaction and stop harming living beings, as well as other outspoken yoga masters. It's an important topic, and I feel it needs to be discussed. People can choose to eat what they like, but as a yoga teacher or chair yoga teacher, I do feel we have an obligation to at least have the knowledge of why the yogis are vegetarian or vegan. And then we can make choices from there and educate others to make their choices. If you're not already vegan or vegetarian, but might want to improve your health, if not for ethical reasons for the animal's sake, there's still benefits. You can eat nutritious and delicious healthy food. For example, here's kale chips, which I have the recipe in my book. Here is just a raw food salad I made and brought with me between breaks teaching yoga. You can do the same. You'll get so much energy from eating healthier that you'll want to teach more yoga. It all connects. There's also philosophy on why the yogic diet is vegetarian or vegan. It's called sattvic in Sanskrit, which means pure. That way the yogi is healthier, they don't harm living beings, and then they have a calm mind fit for meditation. The yogic tradition in Ayurveda teaches that meat can be dulling or heavy to make you tired or more likely to be ill. Also, the violence and the adrenaline that the animals feel upon death with fear and the karma involved in yogic tradition teaches that also makes the mind harder to have a calm mind in meditation. This also has a diet to prevent disease. The yogis were looking for longevity, so they had more time on earth to discover life's purpose and to serve others. In the modern age, it's also most sustainable for the climate and for the earth, as I've mentioned before. You'll see more in the video at the end of this module with other images of why. And just to clarify the differences between vegetarian, plant-based, and vegan, because this might come up from questions from your students or you may be wondering. A vegetarian was the classical yogic diet, which does not involve any meat or fish or chicken. However, a vegan diet also does not include dairy. The yogic diet used to be vegetarian, but now it's shifting to vegan because true nonviolence means that you cannot eat dairy as well. I have websites at the end of the video to read and learn more details, but the dairy industry is connected to the meat industry. Baby chickens are killed if they are male because they can't produce eggs, and baby cows are killed, which become veal because they cannot produce milk for human profit. So that is why the yogic diet is shifting to vegan. Plant-based can be either vegetarian or vegan, meaning the main part of your eating habits comes from plant-based derivatives, not processed food nor animal products. So let's go back to what is yoga. Now that we've discussed the philosophy and the very first base of the sutras, nonviolence, ahimsa, which also translates to not harming your body in the postures, let's talk about what is hatha yoga. In Sanskrit, ha means sun and ta means moon. This is symbolic for the pairs of opposites to create balance. When we're doing yoga asana, the yoga postures from hatha yoga, we're looking for balance. The way we work, using the body, mind, and breath, can restore harmony and equanimity and a feeling of balance. So where do we start if someone can't practice yoga asana, as you see in some of these photos, on the ground? You start right where you are. If you have a disease, an ailment, or a condition, including pregnancy or being stuck at the office, and can't lie down on the ground or your stomach, or do standing postures like some of the traditional yoga asana, you can start right where you are. Even a 1, 3, or 5-minute yoga break can be helpful. This will give you energy, even if you have physical or time limitations. That may be all you have to do, 5 minutes, but it can still help. And this is what we want to teach people in share yoga class or private sessions, that they have to work within their own limitations and comfort level, whether it's a 5-minute practice, a 30-minute, or a 60-minute class, but they can still receive benefit. The philosophy behind what yoga and yoga asana is important to teach chair yoga, because we're just adapting in a chair the practices that come from hatha yoga and yoga philosophy and lifestyle. Yoga asana is one of the practices of hatha yoga, which is the yoga posture, but it's a posture done in a meditative way. It's not just a physical movement. In fact, the Yoga Sutras, Sutra 2.46, says in Sanskrit, sthira sukham asanam, which means that yoga postures is that which is firm and relaxed. Or another way to translate it, instead of firm and relaxed, is yoga posture is a pose that is steady and easeful, or steady and comfortable. There's another yogic text from the 17th century that says there are many postures as species. Altogether, they say, there are as many yoga asana as there are species of living beings. Shiva has taught 8,400,000. Of these, 84 are preeminent, of which 32 are useful in the world of mortals. That's an old text, but it's showing you that there's quite a bit of postures to choose from, including different animal shapes, different things in nature that we copy, as well as different heroes. And there's so many options. So we can make yoga accessible to everyone, even adapting the traditional postures. So how do you master asana? One of the sutras says that in Sanskrit, which translates to in English, that you've mastered the yoga posture if you are comfortable and your mind is meditating on the infinite. When that practice is done for a long time, without a break, with sincere devotion, then the practice becomes a firmly rooted, stable, and solid foundation. This is a yoga sutra that is basically saying, and I've heard other translations saying, that if you practice with consistency, enthusiasm, and devotion, you will eventually master yoga asana. Yogic lifestyle all contributes to how you do your postures. Using the 5 principles mentioned before, proper exercise, proper breathing, proper relaxation, and proper diet, in yogic tradition it's vegan or vegetarian, as well as positive thinking and meditation for a holistic yogic lifestyle, for inner peace, outer health, and harmony with ourselves, the animals, and the earth, yoga can contribute to a life of more simplicity, peace, and greater harmony. How we think, how we eat, how we breathe, how we relax, all affects our yoga posture practice. So keep that in mind when teaching and practicing as well. As I have a saying here, eat more plants and do more yoga. You'll probably feel much better. Yoga is a preventative healing tool as well. There's one more sutra I'd like to conclude this philosophy module with. That sutra states, the translation would be, the misery which is not yet to come is to be avoided. What that is saying is yoga is basically a preventative healing modality. In modern medicine, they call it preventative or lifestyle medicine. So, lastly, in this module, before we start learning asana and practices, you can watch a 3-minute video here on ahimsa, and then attached in this module, a 20-minute ahimsa and hatha yoga reflection video. Hello, my name is Stacie. This is a short video to ask the question, why do we eat animals? I personally was blessed to be raised vegetarian thanks to my father, who studied yoga and learned about nonviolence. But if you see a chicken around, would you want to go grab it and kill it and eat it? Probably not. That's not your natural instinct. But if you start to make the connection of your food with the animal that was living and feels pain and wants to live, you may feel different. Baby cows belong with their mothers, free in a field, not taken from their mothers to be commodities so that humans can drink their milk. The yogis are vegetarian, mostly now going vegan for true nonviolence reasons, so that no animals are harmed in their food choices. It's definitely better for human health. They've proven that many diseases can be prevented with a vegan or plant-based diet. It's also better for the planet. Do you know that factory farming is responsible for 65% of all human-related emissions of nitrous oxide? Animal agriculture produces more greenhouse gas emissions than all the cars, trains, planes, and other forms of transportation in the entire world combined. When you go to a rescue farm, such as Animal Place, when you see hands above the rescued cow, it makes you feel so happy they're free and safe. Some people say, however, though, lions kill other animals, so why can't humans? Well, we're not lions. If you see a zebra running around, would you be salivating and wanting to kill and eat it? Probably not. You can get all of the nutrients you need from plant-based diet. Let's choose compassion, save the animals, help the earth, and improve your health. If you want more resources and wonderful healthy recipes, you can view the websites including mercyforanimals.org, PETA, PETA.org. You can also go to Dharma Mitra's website for some yogi recipes, Shivananda ashrams, as well as integral yoga ashrams. There's so many resources to find plenty of healthy options where you can eat well and not harm other living beings. Although I won't be discussing animal rights or vegetarian or vegan yogic diet throughout this training much more than this module, know that I dedicate this training and all yoga teachings, if I can help animals via education, to the 24 million farmed animals killed each day. We will never stop fighting for you. That's from Mercy for Animals. I will always be a voice for the animals and do my best to try to educate people to choose compassionately, not just in living, but in eating as well. Animals want to live, so if you eat more vegetables and less animals, your health and the animals will say thank you. For recipes, you can go to my website, sunlightyoga.com, PETA.org, mercyforanimals.org, Shivananda Yoga Ashrams. Have a myriad of plentiful, healthy, and delicious vegetarian and vegan meals if you want ideas to cook healthier at home. When you finish this video, in this module, you will find a 20-minute Ahimsa yoga video. Enjoy it. You can modify the practices in chairs or just watch. The idea is to reflect on concepts of nonviolence as we do our yoga postures named after animals. Have a great day. Namaste.
Oh